Hey everybody, welcome back to Race of History. Today we're doing Extra History's Rome, the Punic Wars Part 1. Let's get into it.
Everybody, welcome to Extra History. I'm Dan, that's James, and this is Allison. We usually make videos talking about games, but today we are here to talk about Rome. A few months ago, we got a call from the folks at Creative Assembly, probably one of the coolest we ever received. And they told us, hey, so we're finishing up our next Total War game, and we've got some money left over in the marketing budget from our publisher. And the way we see it, we could buy a few more banner ads, or we could underwrite you guys making some videos to teach people about Roman history. You don't have to mention us or the game, just teach some history. And we said,
Total War Rome is awesome, by the way.
that's awesome. And we are going to mention them and their game because I would love to see more companies do this. I want to see companies use their ad budget to not only garner sales, but also do some good. So to everybody else marketing a game that has something worth discussing, there are dozens of content creators out there who can do a lot more for you than a few banner ads are going to. So good on the folks at Creative Assembly for setting an example. We approve. But let's get started, huh? We are going to be talking about the Punic Wars, because they're less well known than the campaigns of Caesar or the civil wars of Augustus. We're going to probably spend most of our time focusing on the Second Punic War because it is just freaking awesome. It's got everything you want out of a great fantasy novel. Blood oaths of revenge, bloody battles, brilliant generals, political intrigue, unbelievable feats of heroism, a clash of two mighty dynastic clans. Heck, it's even got fighting monsters, which I'm going to get to in the next episode. So what were the Punic Wars? Well, they were the wars between Rome and Carthage for control of what was, to them, the whole world. I can't even begin to tell you how much rested on these conflicts. This was 3rd century BC's World War II. Rome and Carthage were the two big powers in the Mediterranean, and only one of them was going to be walking out of this one alive. We're still seeing the impact of this war even today, thousands of years later. Without the Punic Wars turning out the way they did, I bet you the United States Senate wouldn't be called a Senate, and our money wouldn't say E pluribus unum on the back. Without the Punic Wars, I bet you Latin would not be the foundation for most of the Western European languages, and Roman laws wouldn't be serving as the basis for law systems around the world. These wars would make Rome the dominant power in the West for the next 700 years, and shape the course of history as a result. Now, some of you may still be scratching your heads at the name Punic War. Where did that come from? After all, Punic doesn't really sound anything like...
It's because they were Phoenician, so it's Punic, really, is how it was pronounced. Two of the families that are involved in this, these are hugely powerful and influential families, one in Carthage and one in Rome. The Roman family will be the Scipios, and then the Carthaginian families will be the Barcas. Barcelona is actually named after the Barca family. They are just incredibly powerful and influential, and as powerful and influential as they said that this war is on the broader history, how it ripples all the way through to the modern day. Those two families had that type of impact, particularly in these wars. And so they, in a way, are as influential as the war itself. It's really crazy how involved and how powerful these were and how big of an impact they would make on the war from start to finish.
Rome or Carthage. Well, see, the people who originally settled Carthage were Phoenician, which is how the Romans usually referred to them. Only their pronunciation of the word sounded more like Punician, which then used as an adjective became Punic or Punic. You know, it doesn't matter. The point is, ancient Roman writers called these the Punic Wars, which basically to them meant war with Carthage. And we have just stuck with the word they used. Cool fact, though, the word Punic still means treacherous in English. I bet you that wouldn't be true if Carthage had won these wars. But okay, the Punic Wars were wars between the two most important powers in Europe for dominance of the whole kit and caboodle. So let's introduce our protagonists. In one corner, we have Rome, recent conquerors of Italy. Well, okay, most of Italy. The Gauls still held the northern bit where Milan stands today. Rome was a republican oligarchy, meaning they were a democracy, but most of the decision-making still fell to the rich. Romans held military glory in the highest regard, and made military service an essential part of political advancement. In the other corner, we have Carthage, based in the city of Carthage on what is now the northern coast of Tunisia. They were also a republican oligarchy, but more focused on trade. Wealth was the prime determiner in political mobility there, and they would use mercenaries to fight their wars instead of citizen soldiers.
Wealth was really the primary reason that Roman senators held their position too. They do the same thing. The wealth is just gathered in a different way. For the Carthaginians, it's through trade, and with Rome, it's through conquest. I guess there's trade in there too, but you know, there's this idea that Livy writes about, the Roman historian, where Rome is essentially just always trying to protect its borders. And so what happens is they have this unruly barbarians that are on one particular side of the border. They'll go over there, they'll conquer that land, they'll pacify it, and now it's no longer a threat. However, the land they just conquered also has neighbors now. They weren't their neighbors before, but they are now that they've conquered that territory. So then they would go to the next neighbor and conquer that one and pacify that region. And so Livy basically makes the argument that it is conquering out of self-defense. I kind of have a hard time believing that. Again, the Roman senators and elite were wealthy because of, taking over and fighting these wars. But that's the argument that Roman patriots like Livy would make to you.
At the time our story begins, Carthage controlled most of northern Africa, a little bit of Spain, and several of the major islands in the Mediterranean. And it's that handful of islands that got everybody into trouble. You see, the First Punic War broke out over the island of Sicily. The actual causes are almost comical. It started when a group of Italian mercenaries, calling themselves the Mamertines, were invited into a city and basically got bored and decided to capture it. They then became pirates and raiders, and then, when somebody finally tried to stop them, they appealed to the Carthaginians, whose city they had technically just stolen, to come and help them out. And Carthage did so, but the story doesn't end there. After the Carthaginians bailed them out, the Mamertines decided they weren't so happy having to obey the Carthaginian rules now, and so they appealed to Rome on the pretext that, hey, come on, we're Italians, asking the Romans to help them free their city from the Carthaginians who had just helped them. This, of course, turned into the First Punic War, a grinding conflict that took 20 years, cost almost a fifth of the male population of Rome, and had over 1 million soldiers involved in the fighting.
That is freaking outrageous. 20% of the male population. Imagine a war in the modern day taking up 20% of the male population of a country. Also, 1 million fighters, 1 million soldiers. That is unheard of in